Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and I'm reading Avengers 1.1. Now, there's a new comic just came out this week, but it's an old comic, but it's a new comic. Okay, it's really weird. Listen, way back in the first volume of Avengers, this is issue number 16, we have a brand new lineup for the Avengers. All right, we had the original lineup, which, okay, Hulk was gone, but Captain America was on, and then you had like Iron Man and Thor and Giant Man and Wasp, and these guys were all part of this gigantic team of amazing butt kickers. And all of a sudden, issue number 16 happens, and all those guys are gone except for Captain America, and now you have Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and you have Hawkeye. And these guys are not heavy hitters. You might think, oh, but the the Scarlet Witch is one of the most powerful people that there is. No, way back then, she didn't have magical powers. She didn't have probability manipulation. She didn't have probability control. She didn't have reality control. She didn't have any of that stuff. No, she had hex powers. Hex powers is, oh, there's a light switch and it's on. I'm going to turn it off from a distance. Yeah. Oh, suddenly a banana peel will appear under you as you're running away, so you'll slip, and just silly little things like that. Hex bolts, which really didn't do too much of anything. She was essentially worthless. Yeah. Okay, you also have Quicksilver on here, who's supposed to be the fastest man in the Marvel Universe at the time. Actually, no, he's the second fastest. I think they forgot about Whirlwind, the former Human Top, big Ant-Man / Giant Man enemy. He was a Giant Man enemy. He never fought him when he was Ant-Man. But the point is that, whatever, like, these guys, they weren't powerful. What, Hawkeye with his explosive arrow tips? Yay. That's not going to compare to Giant Man, and that's not going to compare to the Hulk and Thor and Iron Man. And no, these guys were a bunch of chumps. Okay, but more than that, they were all former criminals. They're reformed, yes, but they were former criminals, and they were on the team, and it wasn't really dealt with. I mean, you got Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. They were on the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants under Magneto fighting against the X-Men, and they were terrorists. That's what they were. They were actually called terrorists. And then you have Hawkeye, who originally started off being enthralled in love with the Black Widow, because Black Widow was also a bad guy. She got red in her folder. She got red in her file. And yeah, they were bad guys. All these guys, they went against Iron Man and Stark Tech. All these guys were bad. And then Captain America had to take this team of misfits and losers. And if you read the comics, yeah, you know, Scarlet Witch wasn't powerful and she was very unsure of herself and always kind of messing up. And Quicksilver was actually that was the best Quicksilver there was as far as attitude is concerned. He was actually a very cool person who was always willing to do whatever Cap told him to do and always help out his sister. And he wanted to punch Hawkeye in his teeth. And Hawkeye needed a good punch in the teeth back then. And Hawkeye was always trying to vie for leadership. And he does that in this comic also. Now, what this comic is the fact that nobody ever explained really what was going on. They simply went from issue 15, where the Avengers were in full power and kicking some booty, and all of a sudden, issue 16, there's a new set of Avengers because, well, at the end of the day, they said, listen, we are having a hard time with continuity, and Marvel's always been a stickler for continuity. We can't have all these characters over here doing things and then over there doing things separately, because why don't they all just come and help each other? So that we've got to let them resolve their problems on their own. And here's some characters that aren't in the comics, with the exception of Captain America, and we'll just do this. So that's actually in real life why that happened. But they never really explained why it happened in any kind of detail at all in the comics. So this actually does. And here they do a really good job of showing all the disputes, all the problems, and the fact that these are all reformed criminals. They never really addressed that in the comics. And all of us who were reading it were like, these are bad guys. Why are these guys here? Well, here they finally address it. And I don't know that this comic is going to run for a particularly long time, but while it does, I have a feeling it'll be pretty good. The problem that I have with this comic is that when it ends, you think that there should still be 2 or 3 more pages to go, because of the way that it ends. It's so, what? But whatever, that's obviously the way they wanted to end it, and it's not bad. It leaves you wanting more in a bad way, a not so good way. The Frightful Four is in this. We're talking about the Wizard, formerly the Wingless Wizard. Medusa is in this. Sandman is in there, and the Trapster, aka Paste Pot Pete. So these four go in and they pretty much beat the living snot out of this team of Avengers in their very first outing. So it was to get them some good press and to ruin the idea of the Avengers, and they succeeded in doing just that. So I want to see where they go with this in the future. There's a whole lot of good stuff that they could really do with this. And just the idea that they're finally, after, 50 years? After 50 years, they're finally going to explain why the Avengers left and how that happened. Eventually, Giant Man and the Wasp returned, and then Hercules wound up joining up also to give them another heavy hitter. So, it all worked out back in the day, but yeah, here they're actually going to explain something. Anyways, guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and I didn't give this a grade. I'm going to give this a B-. Class dismissed.